Hey, brother, how you do?
There, man.
Y- Right. No, I was saying, I wanted to commend you on this thing because I don't think people understand how important this NHT matter is.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
And and I like the clip you played because it was just simplified what the NHT plan and the PNP is. Yeah? And their plan is in keeping with what inflation is to reflect the cost of a house. Yeah?
Yes.
So if you look, this what they call it, the social housing that the,
Right.
the government is doing now, right? When they started out, they were complaining that the contractors were given doing social housing at 14 and $15,000 a house. Yeah, they inked an agreement with Arc Industries. Well, Arc Group, I forget the group, but it's the same group run by Norman, which is now run by Ashley and Foster Orr and his wife. Yeah, and
Right.
they inked a deal with them, which saw the price being reduced to almost reflect what the party leader is saying, somewhere between $9 and $10 million for one
For
of
the
them houses,
yes, yes. That was an
right?
important
So
part of it. The cap. Yeah.
the cap, because if you don't cap the thing, what will happen is you will have what is happening in the market, the influx in the prices, because it is determined by, as you said, the availability of the homes, and also two, it is determined. It is almost a free market. Yeah, and
Yeah.
poor persons are just being abused in
Yes,
terms of the
yes.
prices at home. And the trick, the good thing, when I say trick, I don't mean the trick in the sense that nobody's being tricked, but the
Right.
skill in maneuvering this is that you are also ensuring that the NHT who owns the land is not selling the land to the homeowner.
Yes. So they are getting equity. I don't think people understand the importance of that. The equity
Right.
of
So
owning the land itself.
exactly, because why are you going to sell land that is already an asset that belongs to the government? That makes no
It
sense.
makes
You're
no
defeating the
sense.
real purpose of the NHT, which is to
Ah,
give
Theo.
houses to poor people.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
And I'm telling you, the people of Westmoreland, St. Mary, St. Thomas, and Portland, who have been for years been not considered. Because, by the way, more if you look at the places that have not seen any NHT houses, it's more so the parishes of Portland, St. Thomas. They just did something in Albion the other day, and that was way out of the prices that the ordinary people in Albion could afford. Because those houses were going between 14 and 15,000, right? 15 million, sorry, right? But when you look at the parishes of St. Mary's, St. Thomas, and Portland, and Westmoreland, which need the housing stock to improve, yeah? Because
Yeah.
every time you look for an NHT project a break, if it not break in a man in the west, in St. James, it is being done in Trelawney. Yeah? So the housing stock in those parishes are not too bad, but also the prices are out of the availability, the affordability of some people. But those four parishes I call, I can assure them that they will be on the priority list of the People's National Party, because there's already government lands in these parishes. You talk about
Yes.
the sugar lands.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, you're right, because you can see their focus on farming one, and then they also said they have already scouted out the areas that they will be doing these projects in. So, if you
Yeah.
know, you
And
know.
when you look at it, as I go, when you look at it, right? When you look at what is happening in, remember this plan that Mark Golden is talking about is not something that them God embed and wake up on. I am one person who likes to give credit. I give credit to former party leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, when he became the party leader after Portia Simpson limited office. The first thing he did was he commissioned what was called a housing and land commission of the party. Yeah. So
Oh,
what the housing and land commission started to do in 2017 was the what was actually Paul Burke.
you
Sorry,
can't take your
Paul.
time, You can't take your time, You don't have to rush yourself. Take your time. Make
Okay,
it
my
make
brother.
them digest the information. God is serious. Go through.
Right. So Paul Buchanan was a part of that commission, and some other persons, and noted land surveyors and others were a part of that commission. And what they did was that they went through and surveyed the entire Jamaica, looking at the history of where government lands existed, what was needed, what infrastructure, if the infrastructure exists there, And so the party really, what Mark Golding is doing is building upon the work that was left by Dr. Peter Phillips.
Sound like
So
something. It sound like something him would have do. You always give them credit. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Him always give
So
them credit.
really and truly, it is so they know they can tell you how many Operation Pride schemes were not, the infrastructures were not completed. And I also want people to look at this too. Imagine this administration has been in power for 9 years, going 10 years, and they have not done any major work in some of these Operation Pride schemes. Because like the infrastructure, when you build a housing scheme, because the focus under the PNP then was really just to give the people the house. Yeah? Give them the house. Give them the house. And in some instances, some of the infrastructure was neglected because you really never had the money to put in the infrastructure at the time. Right? But you have schemes that today the infrastructure is not there. So like the one where I jump up and down over Portland in Norwich Heights, that was an Operation Pride scheme. Yeah? That was a PNP build scheme. And the infrastructure was never done, as Colin Bell explained, because when it was being done, if they were to put in the infrastructure, it would have drive up the cost for the land in the housing development. So people say, okay,
Okay. Now I see it. So they were considering the people, and that's why they didn't put the infrastructure because the houses would be too high for them.
exactly. Let's use
Mighty
another
God.
place. Let's use another place in St. Mary that they call Tree Hills, right? Which is up in the hills of St. Mary, going up into retreat. That was an Operation Pride scheme. And when they purchased their lot, right, which is about 4,500 square feet, they paid somewhere between $80,000 and $90,000 for the lot in 2001. Yeah? You know how much is for one of that lot up there now?
That's,
Wait for it.
that's supposed to go in millions, multiple millions of dollars.
4.5 to six
Yes,
million dollars to get a
of
lot up there
course.
right now.
Got them place
Yeah?
there get road now and them something to something level in a summer park them.
Exactly.
So it must, if value
Exactly.
must go up.
You
That
know
is
who live mostly
brilliant.
in those housing schemes? The ship workers. If you see the houses that they have built. So
Yeah,
when the
be a mansion
PNP
them build up there for sure.
when the PNP is talking about giving housing to the people, it's not something that they have not done before. It's something that they have done it's like you Bolo, a man I go say to you say, what you know? But you say, no, I have the information, I've seen it, I've been there, I've lived the experience. You know Portmore, nobody can tell you about Portmore. Yeah?
Right, right.
So it is this experience with the housing, and what this will do as well is that it will move also, it will cause more smaller contractors in the country that have been left aside. Because we really have to look at this thing with the contractors. We have
Yeah,
too many small contractors in Jamaica who are not really getting their fair share.
you're absolutely
Yeah,
right. You're
they're
absolutely right.
not getting their fair share because why? The NHT, who is supposed to be giving a guaranteed purchasers program, so the contractor can access him loan, him have the land, him buy the land, and the NHT is supposed to pay him a portion of the funds so him can actually roll out the scheme. What they're doing is they're giving a lot of this thing to the Chinese. Yeah? To the Chinese. If you use an example down in Mandeville, you remember the Prime Minister went go break ground by his favorite road in Mandeville. Yeah?
Yes.
Right? That housing development that they broke ground at, it is supposed to be comprised of roughly about close to, if my memory serves me right, it's about close to 200 and something acres of land over there. Yeah, a lot of land over there. Yeah? And look what you see happening now. I don't know if you saw the news. The NHT with the contractor is evicting people that live there.
What?
And I'm saying, what sort of nonsense is
How
this?
would you
What
buy?
you should be doing as an housing institution is saying, look here, we're going to build here. So because there's so much land there,
Yeah.
they'll never be able to build off 200 and odd acres of land in no build houses in 200 acres of land in no time. So what you
Right.
should be doing is really saying to the people, well, we intend to build,
Mm-hmm.
let's regularize your situation. Let's
That's
come
right.
in and sit down. What can you pay to the trust, seeing that you're already on the trust land? But you know what hurt me?
Ah.
what hurt me is that when I looked, it was a Chinese company who get the contract.
Virgin, you
A
come like
Chinese firm.
me could have tell us that.
A Chinese firm,
Yeah,
and I'm
man.
saying, how could you have a scenario where Jamaicans who born in the country are being forced off of lands which actually are their birthright, and it is
Yes.
being executed by a Chinese company who is telling them to come off the land.
Conflict
I
of
am not,
interest. Major
I am
conflict
not,
of interest.
I am not anti-China, and I want people to, because a lot of these days I've been talking strongly on China, so people might think that I am not anti-China and I'm not pro-America either. Yeah. So my issue is my belief is I am pro-Jamaica. Whatever works for Jamaica and whatever is in the interest of the Jamaican people. But you cannot have Chinese firms come in, and it should be a shame. Rhoda Crawford, as a member of parliament, sits in a constituency and sees that this Chinese firm is saying to her constituents. And let me tell you what they're doing. Because that section of the constituency is a strong section for the People's National Party.
Oh.
So it's gerrymandering 1.20 or 201, if you
I
want to
would
call it
I
so.
would say gentrification.
Well, gentrification, gerrymandering, same cousin, because Jerry involved. Yeah?
True that. True that.
So,
No, it's
but
serious still.
but
It's serious.
no, we have to look
Mm-mm.
at giving housing. Let me tell you, when you look at across the Caribbean, Jamaica has the highest housing stock demand. And when I get on housing, I'm passionate about it because I look at some of my young friends who left college, right? Some of them still live with their parents.
Yep.
They
Yep.
don't want to live with their parents. They don't desire to live with their parents. And some of us have had to go outside of Jamaica to be able to own piece of land in Jamaica.
That is true.
Yeah? And it should not be so. It
Mm-hmm.
should not be so. And this is something that the administration going forward must correct.
Yes,
You
man.
know, in Trinidad and Tobago and in Guyana, when they were leaving slavery, the slaves in those countries were, when they finished slavery, they were allotted a piece of land. You know what happened to us in the anglophone part of the Caribbean, which is the English speaking or the more darker side of the in terms of Afrocentric Caribbean. You know what happened? We were sent off the plantation and we run to the mountainside. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that is why free villages were established, like places like Augustown,
Mm-hmm.
places like Sligoville, yeah, some of these free villages across the town because people had to go where land was available
Right.
because there was none for them. And I'm saying if we want to correct this thing as seriously, and the People's National Party, I will be holding their feet to the fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
listen. Listen to me, now, man. You see, if the labor right them thinks I was on Andrew Holness, just wait till PNP go in a power. I make them, if they ever slip, I'll go in the next direction. I know them, I know PNP people are going to hate me. Me not run no
No,
joke,
but we
brother.
don't.
At
Bolo, but we're
Jamaica, me
not
say,
scared.
at Jamaica, me
That
say,
is
me
the
not run no
thing.
joke. At Jamaica, me say,
And this is the thing where people don't understand, and I don't think people get it. Not a lot of the bloggers who you see blogging, and they try to politicize people by saying they are PNP or they are being paid by the PNP. The truth be told is, so what? People don't have their independent view,
exactly.
right? But
Thank you very much.
the reason why they can say that is because they are being paid. Yeah.
Exact. The ones that are being paid. Yeah, it's what you call it projection.
Yeah, so they're doing the
Mm-hmm.
projection. But
Mm-hmm.
brother, all I can say, this issue of housing is going to have to be a pillar. Because I want the youth them, and particularly in Kingston and St. Andrew, though, the operation will have to be a little bit different. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at places like Maxwell Avenue. You have a place in Trenchtown called No Man's Land. Yeah?
Right.
Sitting in No Man's Land, that is at the bottom of the lower part of Trenchtown, between the fire station, going all the way back over into Denham Town, takes in pieces of Craigtown. Yeah? That land there sits idly empty. Roughly, they say is about close to about 400 acres of land. Yeah?
Wow.
And look here what happened down there. You are telling me that the NHT don't have the vision, or the housing agency of Jamaica don't have the vision to start to build houses on those pieces of land if you want to make them gated community so that the police and teachers and nurses can live in there, right? And because it's right, why is it called inner city? It is from downtown. That is what it's called inner city, you know. Yeah? And our people have in Kingston and St. Andrew, you know, got to get out of this mindset that oh they want to go live up on the hill because you better have the hill money. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the reality. And some of these communities are not as people make them out to be. Yeah? Because
Right.
I know teachers who come from Trenchtown, I know police officers who come from Trenchtown. Yeah? And nobody bother them, nobody mess with them. Yeah. So
Right.
we
Right.
have to now seriously look at where the availability of land is in Kingston and St. Andrew because we're growing out the space that we have, and we don't have to start build up in the year. Yeah, instead
Right.
of building out. So
Mm-hmm. True.
those are
True.
places we have to look at. Some of
True.
the
True.
persons who live in Kingston and St. Andrew who want houses might have to go into St. Thomas to live, which is just less than 30 minutes from downtown.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So we have to now think, or you have to go into places like Clarendon, which is 45 minutes from Maypen to the end of the toll.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
we now have to consider where the availability. But if you're going to do that as well, the government must now put in the infrastructure and investments around those spaces. So if a man move to Langville Park out in Clarendon, or move to Albion or out Poor Man's Corner in Yalas, right? That him don't necessarily have to travel out of parish to work. Yeah?
Right.
Those are some of the things we need to look at because with housing there must become economic. There must be economic activities around the housing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And with all the growing and the building and
Anyway, my
infrastructure and
brother,
everything.
all the best to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? You look like him couldn't hear me, you know. Sorry about that, my boss. So what I was saying is, with all the infrastructure, right? I guess the wire got a short in it, so it disconnected with me and him. Sorry about that, General. But I thought he was hearing me. Yeah, hello?
Sorry, brother. It seemed like the Pegasus grabbed me.
Boy, I
Right.
bet you me I wonder what going on my computer in the cars. Me I try talk to you and then me I realize say you nah hear me. Somebody I try
Right.
fix the wire, you see it. Mm-hmm. But what me I
But
say?
as I as
Go
I
ahead, go
wrap
ahead.
up because I know you might be you're proceeding to something else.
No,
But
well, at 5 o'clock, because I got to take a little rest after this 5 o'clock, you know, say them have the campaign, so I'll be streaming that. But
right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but as we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
really and truly, I'm saying so. The housing now, people have to look at not just being stuck in Kingston and St Andrew, but if they're going to move from around Kingston and St Andrew, economic activities have to go around the places that they're going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So the concept of living in Langville Park, when PJ Patterson created Langville Park, it was to supplement what was supposed to happen at Vernam Field. Yeah.
Mm.
When PJ Patterson was also doing 14 miles, which they now call Mesgar Gardens, yeah,
Yeah.
that 14-mile Albion concept was to also support the idea of. So Andrew is coming and talking about a developmental city out in Morant Bay, the town center thing that him developed. That was not Andrew Holnes's idea. Yeah?
Really? So
No, it was a.
come
Let
this
me
man.
repeat it
What
to the
does this
country.
man have? What idea did he come up with?
And I challenge anybody, I challenge any laborite, including Marlon Morgan, to come and challenge me when I say this, that it was not Andrew Holnes's brainchild. And I'll tell you why. There was a development plan for the greater Morant Bay area. That development plan was created. A matter of fact, it goes as far back as Michael Joshua Manley. That
Whoa.
is why
Whoa.
the thief in Charles who thief the people them land. Me not afraid to say so, Yeah? Who paid only $1 per acre of land. Me never hear that from me band. Yeah?
That's wild. That is. Woo.
So why he grabbed those lands was that he looked when he became MP in 1980, he looked on what the developmental plan was for St. Thomas.
Oh.
And strategically purchase lots around the area. Yeah.
Isn't that illegal?
Well, he was also at the time minister of his brother-in-law was minister of lands, Bruce Golding.
Yeah.
So he got access to the developmental plan, and
Damn.
purchased lands accordingly. So it was not their brainchild. It was in
Right.
fact coming far back from Robert Lightburn, who had a concept of. Remember, Goodyear factory was running in St. Thomas. St. Thomas was a productive parish. Yeah?
Right.
So when you see, so I'm making the point to say that that parishes we must develop houses link with the economic activity so that people around it. And one of the one I want to share about the housing now for the hotel workers, because the hotel workers, particularly from St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, have been the most neglected set of workers. When you look and see sometime where the hotel workers leave from to go work in the hotel and eat some of the best food, because one thing hotel worker, them not miss a chance to eat the free food. Yeah? And me no wrong them. Eat the free food. Because no work so hard. When you can't carry it home, so eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah? And drink the best drinks. But when you look at them, and many of them don't have the ability to access housing because they're on contracts. So
Mm.
right, which don't give them the ability to, and they're not qualified at the ceiling that NHT have. So the basic level, them don't even qualify for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we now have to look at when these hotels are doing their developments. Can the hotels commit to saying, okay, if there's cheap lands available in the areas that we're going to be building? I'll tell you what happened in the Eastern Caribbean. If you live in Antigua and you're working in the hotel gives you the option of living on the hotel compound. Yeah, not necessarily the hotel, but they have what is called staff housing. So you don't have to commute from work on a daily basis. Yeah, it doesn't mean that it is your house, but it is once you are on duty, you can commute. You can actually commune at the staff housing. Yeah, those are some of the things we need to look at. The hotels now need to look at. For example, the government is going to bring in investment for hoteliers. Where is the investment for the housing for the workers? Yeah, we have to look at how we treat the hotel workers,
Real man.
because
I see
because
them just a try a thing the other day, which we all know it's because it's selection time and
no, but Delano, let me be straight. Delano Seabright is my brethren. Yeah, somebody who, by the way, have a very good heart. Him is one of them few labor rights that were better than some labor rights.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but one of the challenges that you face in the hotel sector is that when they go to negotiate, because they want to say they are bringing in the investments, sometimes they give up too much in the negotiation. Jamaica don't need no more.
Mm.
What we need from an hotel standpoint, for example, how can the hotel be producing every dollar that is spent in the hotel? You know how much stays in Jamaica? 20 cents.
That is
20,
insane.
20 cents per dollar. So let's just look at that. 80 cents of that leaves Jamaica. What we have to look at is how can we get the hotel sector, how can we push the hotels to now understand that if you're going to come and set up in Jamaica, your experience must be a branded Jamaican experience. Still not taken away from your international brand appeal, still not taken away from what is your normal appeal, but your furniture cannot be, because they're giving these hotels waivers to carry in duty free concessions to bring
Right.
in furniture, which is crazy. When the same
Mm.
furnitures could be, look in the days of Jamaica, look how much carpenter we know. Jamaica used to build the best bed, the best whatnot, the
Cool
best
no
this, the
man.
best
Talk
table.
truth no man.
Yeah, when you used to go down for Orange Street, yeah, in a town
And
cross
it
from
would increase the ambience and the experience of the people.
exactly, because that will be your real Jamaican
Yeah, the
experience.
energy, the creativity within the work that the man them doing.
And that is a part of. So when the People's National Party talks about the creative industry, those persons, the furniture manufacturers, they are also a part of the creative industry, because they then will be given the opportunity to. We have to look at that. We can't be having these investments that not materializing into benefit for our people. Yeah, we have to link tourism to the local economy. The farmers must have access to the local economy, to the tourism
Yeah.
sector. Why is it why you come Jamaica and you're getting the same food you'd have gotten if you're overseas?
Yeah,
That makes no sense.
yeah, that don't make no sense.
Yeah. If
I
I
can
travel, I've been a
I can understand like there's a restaurant called Hard Rock. And anywhere you go in the world for Hard Rock, you're gonna get Hard Rock.
but there are certain
In
substitutes
Jamaica, I
that
agree
you
with that.
can produce locally.
Okay.
So instead of hardware, used some examples. For example, across the region, when you go across the region, right? The if you go to Damrep, let's use Damrep for example. The hotels in Dominican Republic. By the way, Damrep is doing far way better than Jamaica in terms of tourism. Punta Cana alone has 500,000 rooms. When I say 500,000 rooms, I mean 500,000 villas. Yeah? So Airbnb, 500,000 of them. Yeah? They are seeing annually stop stayovers of 3 and 5 million. Yeah? And last year, after the COVID, little bit after the COVID, they were seeing up to 6, 7 millions in stayovers, which means that that money is being circulated in the local economy, right? They in Punta Cana, you know what? They do everything that they produce, that they contribute to the tourism industry, is made in Dominican Republic.
Right. And any
It's
type of
made there.
industry, any
Most of the
type of
things are made
industry.
there, and I'm not exaggerating when I say most of the things are made there, because obviously there are certain things that cannot be produced
Exactly.
on a local level.
But
But
my
most of
God,
the things
man.
that they do is made there.
Yeah. But
You
you
know.
are going
So
now, Ed boy, you hear me?
anyway, brother, all the best to you, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll catch up.
Alright, my boss. Alright, cool,
Uh,
cool.
all right, brother. All the best. All the
Yeah
best.
man, blessings.
Cool, cool.
No, me know what happened. The damn suck my mute my mic. And you know say the whole time me attack Ed boy now hear me.